Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to roll your Windows installation back to a previous version. So if you're having some problems with whatever latest updates and things aren't working right, you could try and roll this back and see if that fixes things for you. It's just one of the ways you could kind of do recovery options in Windows. You could also do the refresh PC option, which will actually do a reinstall of Windows, but it will wipe out your programs that you installed, so that's not always an option for people. Or if you do a backup, you could restore backups and that kind of thing. But there's a couple caveats to doing this rollback option. So the first one is, I'll show you on my computer here. If I go back to the update security and recovery options, there's a choice here. Go back to the previous version of Windows 10, but it's grayed out because it says it's not available because my PC was updated more than 10 days ago. So you have to do it within 10 days of an update. And so what I'm going to show you on this virtual machine that I have going here, if I go to the settings here, update and security, recovery, you can see that I have this button. It's available here. And another thing you have to be aware of too is if you look on your C drive here, you have your Windows folder and there's this Windows.old folder. So when it does these major updates, it leaves your old installation in this Windows.old folder. And what I like to do is when I run the disk cleanup, I get rid of this because if you look at it, it takes up quite a bit of space. 7+ gigs. So, it's not something you want to hold on to if you don't need to, if you're running low on disk space. So if you delete that, then you're not going to be able to do this either. So on this VM, I did an update yesterday. I actually finished it today. And then since then, I installed this Acrobat Reader and made this new rich text document on the desktop. So we'll see what happens to those. Chrome was there before the update. These two were here after the update. So let's roll it back and see what happens here. So click on Get Started. And it says this won't take long, but it always does. So I'll be pausing this video in between some of these reboots and stuff, so you don't have to sit here and watch it the whole time. So why are you going back? This really doesn't matter, but we'll just say another reason. And then it says if you want to check for updates first to see if that'll fix your problem, we'll say nope, we want to go back. And then it's going to give you some information here. It says you're not going to be use your PC, obviously, and you might have to reinstall some apps and programs, and you'll lose some changes made for settings and so on. So we'll click on Next. So keep that in mind. So anything you did after the last update is probably going to be gone. So we'll see what happens in our case. Make sure you know your password. Your password should be the same, I would assume. Okay, so it says thanks for trying this out, and we're going to go back to the earlier build. Okay, so it's been spinning on this restoring your previous version of Windows for some time. So you got to imagine this is going to take as long as it does to install Windows. And when you're doing this on a VM, sometimes it's going to be slower depending on the hardware you're running for your host, I should say. Okay, so now the computer is rebooting, so we'll see what happens next here. Okay, so now we're back at the login screen here. Okay, so it looked like it kind of changed the video resolution too. So let's see what we have here. I only have two options. I had multiple options before, so it'll probably need some kind of video card update. And also while you're there, what you should have done beforehand is, or you could do this if you decide to do yours, if you go to System, and well, actually there's no About section because I was going to look at the version, but apparently this older version doesn't have that, which is kind of weird because it should. So if we search for About, okay, then it shows up there, kind of odd. So what you could do is when you go to that About section, you could find your version and build, and then compare before and after, and make sure to roll back. And let's see if we have that Windows.old folder still. See, so now we just have the Windows folder because that Windows.old folder, so it used those files from the Windows.old folder and made it the current version. So now it's just Windows. And if we go to our desktop here, we have the shortcut for Acrobat, so that's gone, but our file that we saved here is still there, so it looks like it removed the Acrobat program. And it's probably not under the Start menu either. Nope, just web results. But you can see up top here that Google Chrome is there because that was installed before the last update. So anything that I installed after the update that I rolled back is gone, but it did save the file, so keep that in mind. But before you do anything like this, you should always do a backup of your files and make sure you have installation software in case you need to reinstall anything. So once again, if you're having problems, make sure it's at least less than 10 days old since you did your updates. Make sure you still have that Windows.old file there. You just go to your settings, then update and security, and then recovery. And if this button's not grayed out, that means you could do it. See, now that I rolled it back, I can't roll it back any further because that was more than 10 days ago since the last one. So that's a couple ways to tell, if this button's not grayed out, and then if you have that Windows.old folder, you should be good to go. All right, so if you have any problems, you could give that a shot. Like kind of more like a last resort thing if you can't fix it, or you could try maybe removing individual updates one at a time if you want to go through something tedious like that and see what that does for you. All right, hopefully this helped. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe.